This is Modern Persian Food,
a culinary podcast for today's food enthusiast.
We talk about classic Persian flavors,
modern recipes,
and embracing culture and identity through food.
I'm Bita.
And I'm also Bita.
Welcome to our show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Modern Persian Food Podcast. I'm with the lovely Bita, and this is Bita, and we're talking about Persian tea parties today. Mehmuni, having a little gathering, having tea as really the focal point, gathering together. And with Mother's Day just around the corner, a great occasion to have a tea party celebrating moms. But in general, we'd love to just share with you what is Persian tea? What does a tea party really look like in Persian culture? And we really want to inspire you to bring these flavors and these rituals into your own home. Hi, Bita June. How's it going?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. And, tea is such a big part of Persian culture. In some Persian homes, tea is brewing all day. And the way that it's actually brewed is a little bit more unique, so maybe we can deep dive into it. But first, before we really dive into that, Bita June, you want to take a few minutes to just tell us about Persian tea and what makes it so special?
Yeah, and just to chime in on doing it for Mother's Day, when I think of a tea party, I do think about kind of like ladies, ironically, because actually my husband loves tea even more than I do. So it's not just for women, but I think about just like a delicate little feminine tea party, but to get at what it is and why it's special. If we talk about its characteristics, it's very dark, it's very hot, and it's aromatic, like many flavors in our Persian cuisine. It smells good. It's not spicy. So when we say chai, we're not talking about the spice tea. That's just the Persian word, the Farsi word for how to say tea is chai. It's a dark, rich tea that's brewed in a special way and served just about at any time of day in a Persian household. It's usually black tea, straight black tea, like an Earl Grey, a Darjeeleen, or a Jasmine tea. And oftentimes it's like a blend of all of those. And little subtle hint of a spice sometimes is cardamom, which just makes it really delicious.
Yeah, so I think what's really noteworthy about the color that you're talking about, the beautiful amber color, it's translucent, so you can see through it. So it's not dark, like how when people think of a traditional chai with milk or really creamy. You can also make it kind of a little bit darker or stronger. You typically, when the color is really dark, it's much more of a stronger concentrated tea, and that comes from the way that we brew it.
It is a big part of Persian culture, and it's usually going at all times of day in a traditional Persian family in terms of having it concentrate there, and you can just pour it and then replenish it with the hot water. Can you walk us through how to make a real good steeping cup of Persian tea?
Yes, definitely. So brewing tea is kind of like an art form in itself. So when you look at a Persian household, the way that the tea is typically brewed is it starts off with a big kettle of just hot water. You boil hot water, and then what happens is that you have a separate little teapot that you make a tea concentrate in. So you get your tea leaves and you put it in the little smaller teapot as opposed to a big kettle. You put it in a little teapot, you put the dried tea leaves in it, and then you add hot water to it. And so you fill the teapot maybe about halfway full, and then probably use about 2 or 3 teaspoons of the tea leaves, and you let that brew. And what you do is you actually take the lid off of the big kettle, and then you place the little teapot on top of the opening of the kettle. So it's kind of like a double boiler. The steam and the heat from the kettle helps brew the tea in the teapot. And you let it brew like that for about 10 minutes. And then what happens is that the top part is this dark concentrate of tea. And when you go to pour the cup of tea, and you can use kind of a different array of different glasses. Some glasses are clear little teacups, or you can get a regular teacup and saucer. But the glass teacups are really great because you can actually see the color of the tea. And you can use a little strainer, like a tea strainer, and pour the concentrated tea about halfway up the glass. And then you top off the rest of the glass with just the boiling water. So what you're getting you're getting a super hot, steamy cup of tea. It's customized really to the exact kind of color that you want. And it's pretty dramatic when you have like a tray full, like if you have a party and you bring all the tea all out at once, it's pretty dramatic to see a big display of like, 10 little teacups, all this beautiful amber color, all lined up. It looks really beautiful, and I love that. And that's how you make and pour a cup of Persian tea.
Thank you for that walkthrough. That's the classic traditional way. And I know that there are also some like tea balls or tea leaf like balls that you can put the tea in. Mine is like a big round metal type of one. They also make smaller ones that just hang on the teapot, or even, if you're making just an individual for the leaves to get the really rich dark tea. And then there's a bunch of modern ways to make it and new receptacles and devices and what have you. So we have an electric hot water boiler. You just push the dial, you push the button, and you have hot water going. So that's a great time saver. And then we also have a teapot that's kind of modern, that you put the loose tea in it, you put the hot water in it, and let the tea steep and, get nice and dark. And then this particular teapot, it's like plastic or see-through. You actually lift it up and place it on the top of your teacup, and the concentrated tea pours out down from the bottom of the teapot into the cup, and then you dilute it with hot water.
Yeah.
This is sort of a neat, different type that doesn't really require straining. It holds the tea leaves in all different sorts of ways. Do you have any modern versions?
Yeah, I use like an electric hot water boiler as well, but I have seen so many different versions. I've seen one that keeps your tea warm and it has a separate part for the smaller tea pot versus the bigger hot water kettle. And there's like the classic big samovar too, that if you're in a more traditional Persian home or having a big party, it's like a big samovar, which is a big like hot water tea maker that I guess traditionally would have coals on the top to keep the little teapot hot. So there's like a lot of different kind of versions and always kind of new types coming out. But that one that you were just describing sounds super handy. I think you had mentioned that your husband, Bobby Jun, loves using that on a daily basis.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's a big tea drinker, and he even has a commuter cup that he takes everywhere with him filled with tea. I think one of the cool things about Persian tea, I guess when comparing it to coffee, is that it's just really easy to consume and to consume all day. And when you start feeling like you want to not have quite as much caffeine, you can dilute it. You can just kind of like heat it up with the hot water. So I think it's different than a traditional coffee in that, with coffee, you don't typically just kind of pour hot water on top of it. So
right.
That's kind of cool. And then there are other ways to serve Persian tea. For example, there's herbal teas that people might choose. There's ways to serve it at night when there are folks that maybe are concerned about caffeine. Can you share maybe some other like strategies of how you might serve tea other than a black tea?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people growing up would have chai shirin, which is sweet tea. Basically in the morning, that's always, I know people who have like a kind of nostalgia for having sweet tea in the morning for breakfast. But for in the evening time, one thing that I really love, especially if I'm entertaining, is to, alongside the Persian tea, have mint tea with just fresh mint that you can get from their garden or from, your grocery store, that you have just washed mint. You put it in the glass. And I love using, again, the clear glasses too, because it does look really pretty with the mint leaves kind of just floating in the water. And you top it off with boiling water. And it actually makes the whole drink, the whole teacup, like a light green color. So it really gets the aroma and the flavor of the mint leaves in the little kind of mock tea.
I love that.
So that's a good version. And then, just basically using herbal teas in the evening if you're more conscious about how much caffeine you're getting, or just like a decaf, a black tea as well. Sounds good.
Good point. I love that. I love the fresh mint tea, or even just hot water or very diluted black tea could work for some folks. And then, of course, you don't have to go through the whole loose tea process. You can use tea bags like, as you just mentioned, there's a bunch of varieties of teas that come in tea bags, including decaf. You can get the delicious Persian tea blend with black tea and so on in a decaf tea bag, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And if you did want to just, have an easier way to brew the tea, you can just throw like, 2 or 3 of those bags in a little tea pot and add boiling water and just have it brew like that. So then you have it all ready to go too. So you don't have to make that traditional tea that I was talking about with just loose leaf tea. You can always throw tea bags in there as well.
And the classic Persian tea needs to be very hot.
Yeah, totally. You don't want to offend anyone by giving them lukewarm tea, especially a guest in your home. So that's a good point. Thank you to this week's sponsor, Sadaf. Sadaf is a trusted, high-quality brand bringing authentic tea experiences to customers for years. The popular and unique flavors of Sadaf's signature black teas, which includes Jasmine, Earl Grey, and my favorite, cardamom, bring aromatic flavors and are perfect for your next tea party. They now are offering organic, free trade, herbal, and green teas as well, and they are crafted with the same dedication to quality and taste as their legacy teas. They're available in select stores and online at sadaf.com. And right now, if you order all 5 organic teas to try, you get 10% off with no code needed. Thank you for supporting our sponsors.
Hey friends, just wanted to ask you a quick favor.
If you would like to join on to our mailing list, there's 3 ways that you can do that. You can either go to our website, modernpersianfood.com. You can scroll down in the show notes in whatever app you're using to listen to this podcast, and there is a button that you can click to sign up for the newsletter. Or on Instagram, we have it in our bio, direct links that you can sign up.
Sign up and don't skip a beat.
If we were going to have a tea party, we sometimes call tea party mehmuni, which means party in Farsi. What are we going to do? What are we going to serve? What's traditional? What's kind of our own twist on things? So, Bitajum, I'm coming over to have some tea, and I'm bringing some friends over too. So let's do a little tea party over there.
Let's do a tea party. If I knew you're coming over, I really like setting it up in a pretty way, and I like kind of setting the stage for the tea. And I have some really pretty just pieces of fabric that I like to drape around. And that's just me being extra, but like coordinated with my beautiful floral teapot that I picked up from a Middle Eastern market. It's like turquoise with different color, a little floral pattern on it. And I have a variety of teacups, but for you, my dear, I think I would pull out a classic clear glass so you could see the color of your tea and you could choose if you wanted it to be dark or light or with some mint or what have you. And I would definitely have a variety of sweets to go with it. So for classic Persian way, you would absolutely have sugar cubes, a little bowl of qand. And in addition to that, I would love to have your favorite little cookies. I know you love the rice flour cookies and the chickpea cookies. And then I'd probably have like a sweetbread, sort of like a tea cake of some form. The other thing about having a tea party is you don't have to keep it to tea. You can start with tea and then you could do like little finger sandwiches, a light lunch. I'd probably make a couple of yummy salads and just like kind of keep the party going. And it's just a great way to gather people around and have an opportunity to chat and enjoy and just kind of sit for hours with your tea and your goodies.
Yeah, that sounds great.
What would it look like at your house?
Yeah, I think it kind of like would depend on what it is. I do have this really beautiful tea cup set that I got as a wedding gift, which is really beautiful. You may see these kind of like little ornate glasses. They're like a glass little cup, and then it has like this little silver or metal little holder that the little glass fits into. And I'm talking about like maybe like the whole glass is like 4 inches tall, 3 or 4 inches tall. It kind of looks like a big shot glass, really. And then it has this little like metal holder. So I have this beautiful set. So I'd break out the set. I get the set out and it has like a little matching little spoons and a matching little like dish to have little candies in it. And I always like breaking that out. It's just fun because it's that traditional. If I'm like at home by myself, I'm not using like these fancy little cups. I'll either use like a bigger glass with a handle, or I'll just use a mug. So it's kind of fun to kind of break it out. So I'll bring that out and I'll set that up. And you're right. There is such like a little ritual of having the tea, setting it up, and having all the little sweets with it. Another thing that you can always serve with tea is like dates or other dried fruits to have. So that's always like a fun thing. And really setting it up in a beautiful way. Maybe some fresh flowers, perhaps some candles, and delicious little sweets to go along with it. I love the idea of little sandwiches, maybe like a little like cucumber sandwich with a little bit of like little cheese on it, or maybe doing a little bit, some of these little like rolls that have maybe some feta and fresh herbs and maybe some green onions on the side of that. And just having like a little like light little snack with some beautiful amber colored tea. Persian tea can smell so good. Even without the cardamom, it does have its own aroma, which is very comforting and sitting out and just enjoying time together. But I think it's super special to enjoy tea, especially with people that you love.
Totally. I love grazing boards for any occasion. And so I think that amongst my ruffled fabric, I would probably put like just a big, I have a rotating round wooden, it's a cutting board, I guess, technically, but I love to use it for my charcuterie or cheese boards or grazing boards, and it rotates. It's round and it turns. And I would probably put like all the little cookies and dried figs and dates and nuts and finger foods on there, and then just have my tea around it and just actually sit at the island and visit and enjoy tea.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, hopefully we've inspired everyone to break out their tea set or try maybe some new flavors of Persian tea and brew it either in a big batch or individually and enjoy it, and hopefully having a good time hosting a tea party for your friends or maybe someone special on Mother's Day.
Yeah, it works for brunch too, and the nice thing is that because you can dilute it, you can just keep drinking it, start with your breakfast or your brunch and keep visiting all day long. Cheers.
Cheers. Enjoy. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to the Modern Persian Food Podcast with Bita and Bita. Thanks for spending time with us. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling a friend or giving us a good rating. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com or on Instagram for the recipes and information we talked about today. We'd love to hear your thoughts and see you next time.